Just before the pandemic and international travel got completely shut down, I studied abroad in China through a program at my university for the entire 2019 summer. It was incredible to explore a country that feels so closed off to the rest of the world. Nearly every day I was there, I went out to explore. At age 20, solo traveling was one of the greatest aspects of my life. I got to see new places, take photos, meet new people without having to worry about what my friends and classmates, who were also in China with me, would think. 9 times out of 10, things go smoothly, but this experience has to be a part of that 10%. Midway through the summer, I had matched with this cute girl on Tinder that lived in a city I had previously been in. After a week or so of texting, we made a plan for me to fly there and meet her. After some ticket issues and me calling airlines for over 3 hours while sitting in the airport terminal, I was finally on a plane, just a bit delayed. The weekend with her was incredible, truly one of the best times of my life. On Sunday evening, we said our goodbyes and she slipped me an envelope as I turned to go through security at the airport. It said, "Open when you get back to your dorm," so I did as instructed. The flight lasted around 2 hours, which felt like it went by in half the time. Then we touched down, I got off, and made my way towards the airport exit. Now it was around 10 p.m. I needed to get a taxi to return back to my university before curfew, which was at 11:30. Standing with others at the entrance, they all piled into taxis that were waiting in queue. Since I was trying to pull up the school's address on my phone, I let them all go ahead of me. Once I was ready though, I looked up from the screen and noticed that all the taxis were gone. Being in China, I opened up Didi, which is the local version of Uber, and requested a ride. 5 minutes passed, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, nothing. No drivers were willing to accept my trip, and no other taxis had returned to the queue yet. It didn't register in my mind at the time, but while looking out into the parking lot, I noticed a car turn on its lights and pull into the taxi lane. They rolled down their window, signaling for me to get in. My tired mind didn't think anything could go wrong. The car had all of the markings you'd expect a taxi to have, so I opened the door, threw in my suitcase, and sat down. The driver, a younger man, maybe in his mid-30s, who smelled like cigarettes, asked me where I was going, so I showed him the address on my phone. He wrote on his phone, 200 yuan, and I nodded my head in agreement, to which I transferred money to the QR code that he handed me using his phone. Since about anything in China can be purchased digitally on your phone, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. After typing in the address, we pulled out of the airport. I thought, things are going very smoothly, I'll just take a bit of a rest. But about 3 blocks away, an unexpected right turn onto a dark street was made. The realization that we were not going towards my school kicked in, sending a drop of sweat to roll down my temple. The man pulled over and told me to get out of the car, that he would be right back after picking up another passenger. I gave him a stare of disbelief as I began typing furiously into my translator to ask what was going on, but he only repeated what he had already said. "Get out of the car. I'll be right back. I have to go and get someone." A moment of me just sitting there had passed, and he had got out of the car himself, opened the door next to me, and grabbed my arm to pull me out. I held on to my stuff for dear life as I was nearly thrown out of the vehicle. The man then got back inside and drove off. As the car went down the road, the sounds of laughter started to emerge, and I looked to see nearly 20 sketchy guys standing in the darkness of a parking lot full of the exact same white taxis that I had just gotten thrown out of. Am I about to die? Will I ever see my family again? These were thoughts that were coming across my mind. Using my translator, I typed messages in broken Chinese asking these people to get that guy to come back, to take me home and bring me to my destination. Calm down, was what I think they were trying to tell me, as giant grins and laughter remained on their faces and they slowly began to encircle me. One man seemed slightly sympathetic to my situation though, and he tried to get the other people to regroup in front of me so that way I could see them all. And after noticing a tear nearly roll down my face, he gave a call to who I thought was the person that dropped me off and told them to return. For nearly 2 hours I felt in danger as I kept cautiously looking over at the guys that were lurking in the shadows and keeping my professor updated by text as to what was going on. They were in panic as well, but not nearly as much as I was. The familiar sight of a white car rolled down the street, approaching and slowed down to a stop. Their window rolled down, revealing it was the original man that I had met, and signaled for me to get in the car again. I ran over and quickly did so. He handed me the QR code on his phone again, and told me it would be 200 yuan to get me home. This was certainly a scam. I had already known that. I just wanted to get home. I didn't care. I paid him, and he brought me to a taxi depot that was underneath a bridge that we had to cross in order to get back to my school. This looked like something that could have been out of a horror movie in itself. Slight fog was surrounding the area, but the familiar sight of a normal-looking taxi was parked on the side of the road. We both got out. The man had waved another gentleman over and proceeded to pay him. I assumed not the amount that I had given him, but some amount, and told him where he had to go. We both got into a new car, and the driver, although quiet, asked me where I was going just so that they could confirm. I showed them the address, and they turned on the radio and started to pull out back onto the highway. A song that I could understand some of the lyrics to came over the speakers, and to this day I still consider it my Stockholm Syndrome song. Around 1 a.m. I finally made it back to the familiar site of the university's northern gate and jumped out of the car. The taxi pulled out and blazed down the road faster than I could turn my head to take a look at it. I wasn't able to get a license plate, I wasn't able to get any identifiers. I just knew that the inside of the taxi had what looked like a normal taxi driver's ID on the dashboard. I turned and walked towards the gate, and the security guard that was on duty, who was informed of what was happening by my professor, smiled as he unlocked the gate and let me in. I couldn't quite tell what he was trying to say to me, but after I had mumbled some words back to my professor, he said that he was glad that I was alive and made it back. Walking back towards the dorm building, I could see that my professor was coming running down the walkway. He approached me and he gave me one of the biggest, most satisfying and warm hugs that I had ever gotten. I couldn't believe how relieved I was to be back at school. I got inside and immediately called my parents and told them of what had happened, to which they've never been very trusting of me solo traveling since that day.